Draw near, beloved. There is a story that cuts deep, bleeds truth, and might just change how you understand the jagged edges of love. This is about David and his father Robert, about the weight of silence that can crush a man's soul, and the love that lives in the spaces between what we say and what we mean. Once, there was magic between them. Saturday mornings at dawn, when the world still held its breath, Robert would wake David with a gentle shake, and they would slip out into the garage where an old shovel waited like a patient friend. No words needed, just the rhythm of wrenches turning, the smell of motor oil and possibility. Robert's calloused hands guiding David's smaller ones across engine parts, teaching him that real men built things that lasted. That love lived in shared silence, in showing up, in the sacred ritual of fixing what was broken. David would hold the flashlight steady while his father disappeared beneath the hood, emerging oil-stained and grinning. "Good job, son," Robert would say, and those 3 words felt like benediction, like being chosen, every Saturday for 7 years, a promise kept in grease and metal, in the slow, careful work of building something together. But high school arrived like winter. Gradual, then sudden. David discovered other interests. Books instead of bolts, philosophy instead of pistons. The garage began to feel foreign, suffocating. Those Saturday mornings stretched awkward between them, filled with David's impatience and Robert's wounded confusion. "College boy thinks he is too good for his old man's garage," Robert muttered one morning. But his voice carried more hurt than anger. David left for university carrying guilt like a stone in his chest. Phone calls home grew shorter, visits rarer. He built a new life with new friends who understood his dreams, who didn't smell like motor oil and disappointment. Robert kept working on the Chevelle alone, kept David's toolbox in the same spot, kept hoping Saturday mornings might mean something again. For 23 years, Robert loved from a distance. He never learned the language of reconciliation, never found words for the ache that lived in his chest. But love doesn't need words to survive. He kept every newspaper clipping about David's promotions. Every photo from Christmas cards went into a shoebox beside his workbench. The Chevelle sat finished but undriven, waiting, always waiting, for a conversation that never came. When neighbors asked about his successful son, Robert's chest would swell with pride. He could never speak directly. "David's doing real good," he would say, his voice carrying all the love he couldn't deliver face to face. The garage became a shrine to absence. David's tools remained exactly where he had left them, gathering dust but never forgotten. Saturday mornings stretched empty, but Robert still woke at dawn, muscle memory of love refusing to fade. The call came on a Tuesday. Robert collapsed at work. Massive heart attack, touch and go. David drove through the night, arriving to find his father small and gray against white hospital sheets. "He has been asking for you," the nurse said gently, "for hours." David sat beside the bed, studying hands that had once guided his own. Hands that built engines and dreams and never quite learned how to reach across the distance they would both created. When Robert's eyes fluttered open, recognition brought tears. David, just his name spoken like prayer. "I am here, Dad." "The garage," Robert whispered. "Go look in the garage." David found it all. 23 years of careful preservation, his tools clean and oiled. Photos of him at graduation, at his wedding, holding his newborn daughter. Pictures David had never seen, taken from far back in church pews and hospital waiting rooms. A finished photo album titled "My Son," page after page of newspaper clippings, achievement announcements, anything that mentioned David's name. Robert's handwriting in careful margins, so proud, "Knew you could do it. Love you, son." And on the workbench, an envelope marked for David. Inside, a letter, 23 years in the making, son. I never found the words. Thought showing was enough, but maybe I was wrong. You were always too big for my small world, and I was proud of that even when it hurt. The Chevelle's yours when you want it. Still runs perfect, still waiting. Love you more than my busted up heart knows how to say, Dad. David wept in that garage, surrounded by the archaeology of his father's love. All those years thinking he had been rejected, when really he had been cherished from afar. All those Saturdays his father spent alone, tending to memories and hope with the same careful attention he had once given engines. When Robert came home from the hospital, they found their way back to the garage. Different now, David's daughter holding the flashlight while 3 generations work together, teaching her that love sometimes lives in silence, in showing up, in the patient work of understanding what we almost lost. Robert never became eloquent with words. David never stopped loving books more than cars. But they learned that love doesn't require identical languages, just the willingness to translate across the spaces between hearts. That beloved child is how your Father loves you. While you have been building distance, thinking yourself rejected, thinking your dreams too big for his small world, he has been in the garage of heaven, keeping your place, treasuring every moment, every achievement, every step you take away from him. Your rebellion doesn't diminish his pride. Your silence doesn't stop his love. Like Robert with his careful preservation, God keeps every memory, tends every hope, loves you from whatever distance you have created. The garage door is always open. Your tools are still there, cleaned and waiting, and his heart, beaten, broken, but undefeated, keeps perfect time with Saturday morning hope. Father, forgive us for mistaking your silence for absence, your patience for abandonment. Help us hear the love that lives in the spaces between words. See the preservation of hope in the corners of our daily lives. Open our eyes to the toolboxes you have kept ready, the workbenches prepared for our return. Teach us that love doesn't always speak our language, but it never stops showing up. And when we finally find our way back to your garage, let us weep with recognition, not for time lost, but for love that was never gone. In the name of the one who builds with wounded hands, amen.